Hi everyone. I am going to be talking about giant axonal neuropathy. It's a rare genetic disorder. All information links will be at the end of this video, and thank you very much for watching in advance. Here on Genetics Home Reference, they describe giant axonal neuropathy with a great picture, which I'm going to enlarge here. This is a normal nerve cell, and this is one that's got the axonal neuropathy, where abnormal accumulation of neural filaments and degenerated and thin myelin sheath, is happening. And this is where communication is transferred from this area of the nerve cell down, and if it's blocked, such as in this disease, then we have problems. I'm going to read just a little bit of this. Giant axonal neuropathy is an inherited condition characterized by abnormally large and dysfunctional axons called giant axons. That was this picture over here. Axons are specialized extensions of nerve cells, neurons, that transmit nerve impulses. Symptoms of the disorder first become apparent in the peripheral nervous system, in which long axons connect the brain and spinal cord, which is the spinal cord is part of the central nervous system, to muscles and to sensory cells that detect sensations such as touch, pain, heat, and sound. However, axons in the central nervous system are affected as well. The signs and symptoms of giant axonal neuropathy generally begin early in childhood and get worse over time. Most affected individuals first have problems with walking. Later they may lose sensation, strength, and reflexes in their limbs, experience difficulty coordinating movements, ataxia, and require wheelchair assistance. Visual and hearing problems may also occur. Many individuals with this condition have extremely kinky hair as compared to others in their family, and I'm going to show you a picture. See his kinky hair? This is a YouTube video. This is his mother, and I am going to, and his name is Gillian, and I'm going to come back to this in a few minutes. Giant axonal neuropathy can also impact the autonomic nervous system, which controls involuntary body processes. Affected individuals may experience problems with the release of urine, neurogenic bladder, constipation, heat intolerance, and reduction in or lose the ability to sweat. As the disorder worsens, paralysis, seizures, and a gradual decline in mental function, dementia can also occur. Most people with giant axonal neuropathy do not survive past their 20s. Okay, so that would be devastating for the family. And the frequency is, it's so rare, only about 50 affected families have been described in medical literature. Okay, so the cause. Giant axonal neuropathy is caused by mutations in the GAN gene, which provides instructions for making a protein called gigaxin. Gigaxin. Gigaxin is part of the ubiquitin proteasome system, which is the process that identifies and gets rid of excess or damaged proteins within cells. Let me show you a picture of this gigaxin. Here is a overly colorful illustration of the gigaxin. And it says here it plays a role in the neurofilament architecture and is mutated in giant axonal neuropathy. So I just wanted to show you a picture here of the central nervous system and the peripheral nervous system. as we all remember, I'm sure. But I'm just going to read a little part here. These nerves conduct impulses from sensory receptors to the brain and spinal cord. The data is then processed by way of integration of data, which occurs only in the brain. After the brain has processed the information, impulses are then conducted from the brain and spinal cord to the muscles and glands, which is called motor output. Now this web page is about this girl that also has this disease. And the reason why I'm here is because she's very cute, for one thing. But down here, there's a great picture of how the gene is carried. So one parent is an unaffected carrier with a recessive gene, and the other parent also has a recessive gene but is unaffected. And the odds of having a child that is affected by it are 1 in 4. So there's only one that would be affected. 2 out of 4 could be unaffected and be carriers, and 1 could be unaffected and not be a carrier. I think that's a very simple, great picture. And right here it describes it real well. It's an autosomal recessive pattern. And the link for all this will be below. Excuse me, the links for these will be at the end. So up a little farther from the picture, it describes more. Neurons without the functional gigaxon accumulate excess neurofilaments in the axon, causing the axons to become distended. These giant axons do not transmit signals properly and eventually deteriorate, resulting in problems with movements and other nervous system dysfunction. I also want to tell you that this girl's name is Hannah, and I want to add that a lot of these families are having these websites because it's very expensive to treat this problem. This website has some great information on it. I'm going to move down and talk about here the characteristics are low muscle tone, muscle weakness, decreased reflexes, impaired muscle coordination, seizures, and intellectual disability. We'll go down. It could be facial weakness, abnormal eyes, poor vision, leg posture can be unusual, mental development, degenerative mental changes. I'm going to go down here. Giant axonal neuropathy is rapidly progressive, usually leading to dependence on a wheelchair by the second decade of life. I think that other website covered a lot of that. And I want to tell you that here they talk about normal chromosomes, and we'll go down farther and farther. They talk about similar disorders. So this will all be on the link. But they know exactly what gene it is. Diagnosis is made by clinical findings and specialized tests, nerve conduction, velocity, brain MRI, peripheral nerve biopsy, and that exact location is on this website. It is the gene maps to chromosome 16q24.1. And the reason why that map is important with all these signs and symptoms, let's go back to the video that I showed you earlier. The reason is because I want to go back to this video because it's entitled, Boy is Second Person in the World to Receive Gene Therapy for GAN at NIH, Children's Inn. 14-year-old Gillian was the second person in the world to get an incredible gift, leading-edge gene therapy treatment for giant axonal neuropathy, or GAN, at the National Institutes of Health. Clinical Center. This website is talking about the gene therapy for giant axonal neuropathy, and it's a clinical trial, and treatment with this restored the normal configuration of IFS in patient fibroblast within days in cell culture, and by 4 weeks in GAN KO, which is knockout mice. That's a big deal. This is a really big deal. Here, the U.S. Food and Drug Administration is talking about what is gene therapy, how does it work, and they go into a really short explanation of how our genes work and how gene therapy works. And it talks about in gene therapy, scientists can do one of several things. They can replace a gene that causes a medical problem with one that doesn't, add genes to help the body fight or treat disease, or turn off genes that are causing problems. In order to insert new genes directly into cells, scientists use a vehicle called a vector, which is genetically engineered to deliver the gene. Viruses, for example, have a natural ability to deliver genetic material into cells and therefore can be used as vectors. Before a virus can be used to carry therapeutic genes into human cells, however, it is modified to remove its ability to cause an infectious disease. This website shows some pictures of results. This says, vectors restore normal IF morphology in GAN patient fibroblasts. It's kind of difficult to see. Oh, and I can't get it any better. Ah, yes, I can. But it's still difficult to see. So it says to double click it. These are what they look like, and these are after treatment, where they're much more normal. That's fabulous. And this is a mouse brain before and after. Before and after. And so then at the end of this website, they are talking about to improve the quality of life and survival of GAN patients. The primary targets for gene replacement therapy are thought to be the spinal cord, DRG, and brainstem. So they're talking about, if you read all of this information above, where they tried it in different areas in mice, and by the way, the knockout mice is where they've knocked out part of a gene and replaced it. So what they're talking about is in their research, when they inject that into these areas, that it works best in these areas. Boston Children's Hospital is advertising for doing gene therapy, and they explain how it's done here. Inside the body and outside the body. This is inside and this is outside, and then injected in. So as of July 3rd, 2019, I'm going to move down on this. It looks as though they're still enrolling in giant axonal neuropathy trials. That's what it says, trial phase, phase 1. As per this web page, which is dated 2018, they're still working on more treatments. Usual treatment is symptomatic. I want to thank everyone for listening, and here are the links and copyright. Have a great day.